Welcome to all of y'all. A very warm welcome to the three panelists who are on the web right from USA. I know it's early morning. It must have been hard for y'all to get up on a Saturday morning after a long week's work. However, KVO Stanapasi Mahajan, Sanchalit Matushri Manibai Shivji Devji KVO Kanya Keroni Fund is very happy to welcome all the three of y'all. We also welcome all of the participants on the YouTube, and I'm sure that this is going to be an enriching experience, like every episode of this particular Tips from Toppers International. I would just like to say a few words for Matushri Manibai, that it has been its mission for the past 53 years to empower girls for higher education. And it has successfully done it because of the tireless work of the trustees, the office bearers, and the committee members of the past and the present. I would also like to ponder upon the three new projects that have been undertaken. That is the BCSMA Merit Award, which is an award ceremony before which there are several steps, processes to, you can say, identify the jewel girls of the KVO community of every level, the 10th, 12th, grads, postgrad, and so on. So I would just like to say one thing about the MSDMA, that is the BCSMA awards. The BCSMA awards identifies girls for higher education through their not only their academic achievements but also their co-curricular skills. They could be their group discussion, their communication skills during personal interviews, their bent on the social relevance, how helpful they have been, their writing skills, their aptitude test, several other skills are tested before the BCSMA awards are given. This was founded by the founder family, the family who founded this trust. We also have the Kalaben Mahendra Cheda Prince Merit Award, which is for those students who have seeked admission or are studying in prestigious, esteemed institutes and universities nationally and internationally. We also have the Premilaben Lakshmi Chand Kumarji Nanji Kenya. It's a loan scholarship. It's a interest-free, soft loan scholarship for international education. For girl students who aspire to get an international exposure in any part of the world. We are very happy with these three projects. Besides that, we also have training continuously happening. Before the COVID period, we had sessions on soft skills and many other topics which would empower women and young girls. They were held in different parts of Mumbai, suburbs, central Mumbai, and so on. During the lockdown period, we have tried to use the time very constructively to bring the children, the girl students, women, and of course men who have always been a part of our educational journey, wherein skills have been imparted through various ways. Attitude has been touched upon. It is the way forward, the 21st century skill sets which have been looked at. And thereby we have held several training programs on digital marketing, e-commerce, coding for children, that is a Scratch program, French, Lakshya, which is an entrepreneurship program. So there were many sessions that were conducted on these. These were training programs of 6 to 10 to 12 sessions in each topic. We also have the series of Tips from Toppers, which is over. Now we have Tips from Champions. We have the domestic ones who come in the day, 4:30 to 6 on Saturday. And we have the international students who have been featuring in the 7:30 to 9 episode on Saturday. And that's how this is the session. Sunday, we have Apna Time Aayega. It's a series of new ideas, entrepreneurs, business ideas, maybe new diversification in business, and so on. We have tried to utilize the lockdown period very, very constructively. And I think we have been able to achieve it from the different feedback that we have been receiving from the youth and many other people from the community. And that's how we have continued our journey during the lockdown on education sharing through various experts. Let's begin this session today without wasting much time. And I know that some of you all have always been connected with the KVO community. And of course, the aim is to connect many of you all, those who have not been connected. So the whole idea is that your sharing will definitely be beneficial to students, aspiring students, and parents. But I'm sure that the fact that you are on this platform will also help you connect to the KVO community in some way or the other. That's our intention. And with this, we'll first begin. I will just begin with a very, very brief introduction to the three of y'all. Of course, you all have all been known to me, but it is important that everybody, although they have read in the Patrika, but it's important that I introduce you at least with your names. I know your story and your journey will be presented by you best. Priyanka Nirupa Jayantilal Shah, I welcome you from village Vadala, Kutch, and family lives in Daisar. Priyanka herself right now currently is in Austin, Texas. We have Lisha Pankaj Preeti Dedia from Sherdi, village Sherdi, lives in Mulund, currently lives in Boston. We have Archit Rashmi Kiran Satra, village Gundala, lives in Dombivli, earlier was Hyderabad, and currently he lives in Florida. So I welcome the three panelists and I also welcome all the participants. I hope that we will have an enriching session and we begin with Priyanka.
Yeah, hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, and thank you, Ila Auntie, for giving me such a great opportunity to speak about my journey. And I hope that my journey will inspire some of who are attending today. So, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay. So, as Ilanti already mentioned about my brief introduction, so I am Priyanka Shah. I am currently living in Austin. So let's just quickly go through my entire career. So I born in Mumbai. I lived for 25 years of my life in Mumbai, where I did my high school diploma, bachelor's, and also I worked for E-Emphasis Private Limited as a software engineer for 3 years. Then I moved to United States to pursue my master's in computer science from University of Houston Clear Lake. I graduated in 2017. Then I worked for SCI Archway Company as a software engineer in Indianapolis. Then I moved to Austin, Texas to work for Visa Technology as a senior software engineer. Today, I'm going to talk about my success story, and there are 8 keys and 4 pillars that I think are important to be successful in your life. So, I will be talking about these 8 keys based on my experience, challenges that I faced, and how I overcame it. And then at the end, I will talk about the 4 pillars to be successful in your life. So let's begin. So I'm coming from middle class family. So to pursue masters in United States, so you have to have a financial support, right? So that was the major hurdle for me. And I used so in Mumbai, I worked for 3 years, and I used whole my saving to in for the masters. And also I received loans, various loans from KVO institution and other giant institutions uh, to pay my tuition fees. So I'm always grateful to KVO community, Ila auntie, Lex uncle, for believing in me and giving me the opportunity to pursue my dreams. So now I'm in United States. I'm doing my masters, and I knew that the financial issues will still be there for me. So I worked really hard in my first semester, and So I got a job as a teaching assistant for 1 semester, and then for 1 year I worked as a research assistant. And because of that, I my 40% of tuition fees got waived for rest of my semesters, and my salary which I used to get. So I was able to pay my bills and college fees throughout my masters. So I initially see there was a financial issues in my life, but I believed in myself. So always you have to believe in yourself what you want to achieve, right? So you have to have a clear vision for what you want to be in your future. So if you believe in yourself, nothing is impossible. Then I started looking for my job when after in my master degree. So after graduation, so I applied for 1,000 plus companies. I interviewed all these things for me, right? So but at this time I had a very less amount of time because my current OPT period was expiring. So I have to find a job in very less amount of time. So this time I learned from my previous mistakes, like uh, when I was looking for another previously when I was looking for job, what mistakes I did. So I improved my technical skills, I improved my networking, I increased my networking contacts, then I improved my speaking skills, and I did so many things. And then if you compare, I applied for 250 companies as compared to 1,000 companies. I interviewed for 50 companies and I got a two job offers where I accepted the offer from Visa. So uh, yes, I was afraid that time. And both of the time I was afraid. I was scared. I was stressed. I was, panic, and I was thinking that nothing is moving forward. So it's okay to be afraid, right? But I never given up. I was very patient. I learned from my previous experiences that what I want to achieve. And I had clear vision in my mind that I want to be um, do something in my future, get a good job, get and to do something for the society. So that was a clear vision in my mind, and that's why I was able to get a job in ahead of time, and that my visa company was able to do my STEM extension and H1B visa. So these things are really important, that never give up, be patient and learn from your mistakes. Now, I got a job in Visa. So that was a huge transition for me from working as a small firm previously to moving to the big technology company like Visa. Visa is number one in payment processing in entire world. So now I'm working for multiple time zones. Time zones, as in I'm working with the people in India, in Singapore, in various time zones in United States. I'm working with different stakeholders, vendors, other teams in Visa. I have so many, meetings. I have so many operational work, security work. So these things like were challenges for me because the whole environment was different from small firm to the big company. And then on top of it, I got a project which was related to artificial intelligence and machine learning that I never worked on before. So I accepted all the challenges and I had the attitude that I can do it, right? So I was asking so many questions to different people to understand the visa processes. I've started to think outside of the box, meaning now I'm thinking about company as a whole while I'm working on my project, right? So how my work will be helpful and benefit to the company, how my work will be helpful and benefit to the society. So these things are really important that never give up, be patient and learn from your mistakes. So
I think we've lost her. She's lost her connectivity.
increase the revenue of the company, right? So now I'm learning to say no to people and to achieve my dreams. So this is how I learned to say no.
Priyanka, we can't hear you. You are on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. Your screen is also.
Sorry, yeah, sorry, I lost my connection.
Yeah, can you repeat the last few sentences?
Sure, yeah. So can you see my screen, right?
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Okay. So I started thinking out of the box. Now I'm thinking about how my work, my project will benefit to the visa, right? How I'm increasing the revenue, how I am my work is helping other teams in visa. So and I used to ask lot of question to everyone, and one of my senior architect told me that now we have tons of meetings, right? So he told me that now you have to decide which meeting you have to attend or not, and if you're not attending the meeting, what you are doing. So I started learning to say no to people and to the meetings as well. And it's very important. So you can always, it's okay to say I don't know, rather than giving the vague answer to anybody. You can always say no, I don't know, and you can tell them that I'll come back to you later once I find out that answer, right? So I accepted that challenge, and now recently I completed 2 years in visa. Apart from all this work, now I'm helping in interviews. I'm mentoring summer interns. I'm active members in various groups in visa, like women in technology. Then I am participating in various activities related to climate change. And also I am in a technology, right? So I am learning any some various things to keep myself in this competitive environment. So these 8 keys that I learned from my experience, and there are 4 pillars that are very important in your life to be successful. So you have to have a long term and short term goals, so that you know your clear vision and to achieve and you can start working on that to achieve that goals, right? And also you have to work hard. There is a struggle always, so you have to work hard to achieve that goals. There are 2 important pillars that I want to talk about is family support and cultural value. So my family supported me all the time. They pushed me to move forward, even though we had so many financial issues before, but they always supported me, and to move forward and to achieve my dreams. And cultural value, meaning I'm just not talking about any religious values, but I'm talking about the family where you are coming. Then what sacrifice your parents did, to make you successful, what hard work they are doing it to pay for your tuition bills, tuition fees. So these things are also important, and you have to keep in mind when you are achieving your dreams. So these 4 pillars are really important to be successful. But now you're working so much hard all day. So don't you think that you need some me time? Of course you do, right? So these are my hobbies that I usually do when I have a free time. So I do cooking, writing, traveling, photography, reading, and of course Netflix, right? So these hobbies are also important. So these hobbies and extracurricular activity which will make you happy, and in turn it will inspire you to achieve your dreams, and in turn it will make you again happy, right? So these all are connected, and it is also important. Now these are some food photography, and I also write recipes. So these, I have a blog of my recipes. Then I write article and poem and some of my travel photographies here. My vision is, professionally if you ask me, I want to be always in the technology. So I want to be in
I think I think Priyanka's connection is gone. Yeah, I think it was wonderful listening to. It was really nice listening to Priyanka. Maybe when she gets back, we listen to her last part of the story. Uh, it was really very inspiring. All the challenges that she has been able to overcome and reach a very good position today. Maybe we'll talk about her it later when she comes in. Let's move on to Lisha.
I will share my screen now. You let me know when you can see my screen.
Yeah, go on.
Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Alicia Deria. Before I start, I just wanted to make one comment. I'm really grateful to Kerala Samaj here in India and the USA. They have been such a great help. I cannot even imagine what happened without them. And now my parents are proud today because I'm able to give back to the society that has done so much. I would really like to start off. Today, I think I'll be covering my academics, why I chose regulatory affairs as a profession, and why not Eastern University. The co-curriculars that I have gotten interested in, and unusual random things that I have learned living in the US. So to start with, I completed my Bachelor's of Pharmacy from Bhavin College of Pharmacy in Villapalli, Mumbai, in 2017. And that year I came to the US, did my master's in regulatory affairs, concentrated in pharmaceutical medical devices and biologics. I graduated last year in 2019. I also had an opportunity to intern at a medical device company called Zimmer Biomed. And currently, I'm working as a regulatory affairs specialist at Gartner here in Massachusetts. Um, I want to talk about why I chose regulatory affairs and not Eastern University. So I studied bachelor's of pharmacy, which is purely research and development with regards to drugs. But when I was studying, I knew I wanted to be part of more than just the R&D. I wanted to do, I wanted to be a part from start to the whole life cycle of a product. And that's where I understood regulatory affairs was one of those career options that would really interest me. And Northeastern University, because one thing is Northeastern University give the opportunity to um, intern to have a co-op experience so that before you start a full-time job and you start actually working, you have some kind of experience in the USA that can help you understanding how different it is when compared to any other part of the world. And Northeastern University being in Boston, it was a perfect spot because it's known as the hub for pharmaceuticals, medical devices, healthcare in general. So that was a very good option for me. And here, so this photo you see here was I was doing it in Northeastern University very early in the game here, and yeah. Co-curriculars, I have understood through studying here that it is very important to keep up with the knowledge in this industry. It's always changing. Regulations are always changing. You have to keep up. And really whenever you are looking for jobs or you're looking, you just go to work in your, it's important that you are on the top of your game. And that is why I have started learning a lot about those skills, as basic as Microsoft Excel. It's so huge, but you have to learn every day because you never know enough. So that was one of the things that I had to concentrate more on. Next thing was LinkedIn. You might have heard different how important LinkedIn is. Yes.
Your voice is not very clear. It's breaking up.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. If you can come a little closer. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I was talking about LinkedIn, how LinkedIn is extremely, extremely important wherever you are, not necessarily in the USA, but even else. So something that I were very important were starting from a project. Um, you have to have very professional and US it's more casual, but you cannot have a Facebook profile picture, for example, on your LinkedIn. And that I found that I saw a lot of my friends were like that. It just did not make a very good first impression. So those were things that I started learning about LinkedIn. And having an online presence on LinkedIn is also very important. So anything from just liking a post or commenting on a post or blogging about your field is very important. I don't say it helps you to get a job, but it helps you keep your knowledge and people see you. People see you as someone who's competent to work for them. So that was one of those colors I really try to focus on. And the other thing was I started helping a couple of friends with their resumes and interviews. And it all started with me trying to be more and more efficient with my interviews and resumes. And that is how a lot of I started reaching out to people, asking for their help and network. And that is how some of my friends in regulatory affairs needed help, and I started sharing what I learned through 4 months of hard job search. So that's one of those times I really felt that it's too much when you're doing.
Lisa, your
Hello.
video is cracking. I think you can shut off the video. If you put off your video, it may help you.
Okay. Maybe now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Yeah. So these were a few co-curricular activities that I have been trying to keep up with. And I know it's not easy to job and all the things happening. But a few minutes helps.
Lisha, I think we'll take you a little later because your voice is cracking. The internet connection is not very great.
Sure.
So maybe we'll move to Archit. In the meantime, maybe you can go closer to the router.
Yep.
Yes, Archit, we can go on to you and we'll hear Priyanka and Lisha a little later. Maybe you all need to be closer to the router and speak closely. Yeah, go ahead. Your audio, Archit, your audio.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. First of all, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining the stream. And before I start my presentation, I would like to thank Ila ma'am because for giving me this platform and talk about my journey here. I would also like to thank my parents, and everybody who has supported me constantly throughout my journey. Let's get to know a little bit about that. So my name is Archit Satra. I work for, I'm going to change the presentation view. All right, perfect. I work as a senior marketing analyst at NBC Universal Studios Parks and Resorts. I've been working here since last 100 days, since all of this pandemic started. I actually got to go for 10 days to office, and then all the things related to work from home started. We'll talk about those challenges in a bit. Let's start with talking about me. This is my life statement. So my mission in life is not merely to survive, but to thrive, and to do so with some passion, some compassion, some humor, and some style. So a little bit of mixture of boring and happening. Little bit about me. I'm an outgoing person who believes in making a difference to those around me. I'm really passionate towards my job. I love what I do. Talking about my work experience, I've worked for 2 years in India as an engineer at the Virtusa Corporation. I've worked for 2+ years in the marketing profession. Not necessarily 2+ years in Universal, but as we go along, you would know what those 2+ years represent. About my skills and expertise, I believe I am good at digital analytics, media analytics. So basically right now, with all the transformation that is going on, where everything is shifting to online, it's very essential to have somebody who could measure your marketing skills, your marketing tactics. So we have to talk a little bit about marketing. Every company generally spend a lot of dollars into their marketing tactics. So marketing could be like, if you search on Google, let's say you search for, I want to buy a phone. There are a lot of channels through which companies advertise. There is something called search, there's something called social, emails, TV, radio, and lots of channels through which companies could advertise their products. So I sort of, my role is basically trying to measure where the advertising is working and where it is not. And based on my insights, basically we recommend that, if you are spending some amount of money on Facebook, let's say, and Facebook ads are not working well, then consider spending or taking that amount of money from Facebook and spending it somewhere else where your returns are much greater. So that's a little bit about me. My hobbies, I like roller coaster rides. I like hiking, stand-up paddleboard, watching sci-fi. Watching sci-fi is my favorite thing. Traveling, exploring places and cultures. About my education, I've done my bachelor's. I've done my engineering from National Institute of Technology, Agartala, in electronics and communication engineering. Then worked for 2 years in Chennai, in India, and then decided to, go for my master's at University of Texas at Dallas for business analytics. We'll talk about how my journey came about to be how it is right now. In terms of to talk a little bit about my achievements, I've received UT Dallas scholarship for a year, where my tuition fees was reduced to 50% for an entire year. I was also featured as a testimonial in our official UT Dallas website. I was also awarded several accolades in my work. This statement here is one of my favorite. Every success, small or big, is an achievement, no matter what you consider that success to be. All right. Let's talk about my timeline and journey. So I'm not going to start with when I was born to undergrad. I'm going to skip all of that. So I'm going to talk about my journey starting from undergraduate to where I am currently. So in terms of years, these were the years that I spent in each of these buckets. Let's talk about my undergraduate experience. So I did my undergraduate from National Institute of Technology, Agartala, which is far, far, far in the northeast. It was definitely some of the challenges that I faced over there was definitely moving away from home for the first time. Challenges related to vegetarian food. This was the first time I was exposed to a state or to a place where non-vegetarian food was more likely available and easily available than vegetarian food. Then my very first exposure to diverse environment. What I mean by that is I got to study with diverse people, so people who are not necessarily belonging to my community, which is Kutchi. People from all over the India were there to study, and basically it was a nice experience. It was a good experience to kind of work together with diverse people and survive there. Some of the successes would be, I would say, like I did well in studies. I was average. I was an average student. I did enjoy it as well. I got multiple job offers through campus placement, which was good, which was a really nice perk where, a lot of companies come to your university and then you get to sit and interview yourself. You get to sort of market yourself. Then I learned to be independent. Obviously, you are away from home for 4 years. You got to survive. You got to adapt. You got to learn everything you can. Build friendships, connections with professors, which was good. And again, I participated in several activities in the college. I conducted our annual technical fest. I initiated a lot of study clubs, taught soft and interviewing skills as well. Next, moving on to my work experience in India. I worked as associate consultant at Virtusa Corporation in Chennai, Tamil Nadu. Again, moving away from home, this time way south, Chennai. Some of the challenges that I faced there were initially, first of all, even though there were a lot of companies, I got job through on-campus placement in my undergrad, but I eventually did not end up getting the job where I wanted to go. I wanted to work for Samsung India in the R&D sector, but eventually I ended up getting an IT job at Virtusa. So that was one of the challenges or failures, you could say, which in turn turned out to be a really good journey for me. Then moving on to new city, new people, fear of, it's my very first job. I had a fear of the fact that if I would be able to do my job nicely, I would be able to do a good job. And then later on, while during the job, I realized, I was at some point in my time during the job, I was very steady. The growth was very slow, and there was not much to learn. These were certain challenges that I faced. So basically, due to the learning curve and not much to learn, I decided to, I want to study and, do my master's. Some of the successes in my role in India was like, the feeling of being happy to having your job, earning money for the first time and being able to provide to you as well as to your family. I excelled at work as well. I was awarded best team leader for a couple of years consecutively. I received multiple client appreciations, built connections with the client in the US. The client, basically the client that I was working for was situated in US. And it was a really nice opportunity for me to, connect and talk to people like who are not necessarily Indians, and sort of come to a state where you are able to, make the other person understand what you're saying as well as, understand what the other person is saying as well. And then during the job itself, I had, due to my connection with my client or whatever, they had sort of given me an opportunity to work in the US directly on site, which I eventually declined. There is an interesting story there as well. When my client was offering me to come to the US to work directly, I in fact spoke to my client, what path would be better? Should I come through this and like sort of work in the US, or should I, eventually do some sort of a master's degree? Because like I don't want to be stuck at this point doing the same thing what I'm doing right now. I want to I want to go further higher up. So it was interesting that, like, my client, being unbiased, he gave me the right suggestion and sort of suggested to, go for higher studies. And that eventually had a lot of fruits to bear. Like, if you go from India to US directly to work, you are paid less. You belong still to the Indian company. And there are a lot of issues associated with that, saying that there are a lot of issues associated with studying in the US and ultimately getting a job as well, like visa issues and everything that's going on right now. So it's a journey, right? Like everybody has their own. Next, moving on to my graduate studies. I did my master's in business analytics at UT Dallas. Lot of challenges. When talking about this section of my life, there were a lot of challenges. Like a lot of challenges were thrown up to me, and ultimately through hard work and dedication, like you knock out each and every challenge of yours. So first of all, there was a huge financial burden. I took so many loans. First, to talk a little bit about that, first and foremost, I would like to thank like our Samaj for giving me interest-free loan. To talk about reality, when I was thinking about my master's, I spoke to my parents and tried to find out like how much finances we have, how much I had earned and saved for the 2 years in India. And you won't believe, my parents were able to afford 20% of my tuition fees, and I was able to cover just 5% in those 2 years span, the money I saved. And the rest of 75% of my tuition fees came from either scholarship or from KVU Samaj. I was relentlessly contacting Ela auntie to talk about how can I get money from our Samaj, or how can Samaj help me to pursue my masters. And everything worked out really well. And then there were other challenges like finding internships. I did not end up. So basically, I came to the US in the fall of 2016, and with all the restrictions that are held and everything, we ultimately are eligible for internship in the summer of 2017. So basically, from July through August time period of the year 2017. I did not end up getting internship during the semester that everybody was getting. All of my friends were getting internships. It was definitely frustrating and sometimes even sad to, not being able to get the internship in spite of giving thousands of interviews. There were certain cases where I ended up being in the last round of the interview and ultimately got rejected because I'm an international student, or like there was somebody who was a citizen over here, and they felt it was much easier to hire them than hire somebody where they would have to go through a lot of legal paperwork issues and everything. Eventually everything worked out. Not getting internship sort of motivated me to apply more, sharpen my skills. On an average, at some point of time, I used to apply for over 50 companies a day, and eventually end up not getting any interview calls. Ultimately, things worked out. I eventually found an internship in the next semester, and then my journey sort of began from there. Then there were so many challenges. There is so much competition. Like a lot of people come to the US. Generally, people opt to go for either IT degrees or any other degrees. But even then, think about it in this way. Like in the US, everybody is coming from all around the world with diverse experience, diverse background. Everybody sort of gives an examination called GRE and sort of is eligible to come to the university. So you definitely have that fear, what if I do not get or end up getting a job? What if I'm not enough, or what if I'm not able to perform better than the rest of them? So these were certain challenges, managing your, before I begin the next one. So as I mentioned, I finally got an internship in fall of the next year, and I was simultaneously studying or completing my degree. For the first semester that I did my internship, I had taken one course online. And then gradually, in the second semester of my internship, I had to complete all of my master's studies. So I took 4 courses online and along with a full-time internship, which is 40 hours a week. That was really challenging because, I basically had no life for almost 3 or 4 months of my time. Mondays through Fridays, you basically work, you learn as much as you can through the internship, and then Saturdays and Sundays that you get, you study for your 3 or 4 courses that you took. It was challenging, but then again, it was really good. It was a really good feeling when you finally complete all your or overcome your challenges. So basically, I finished off those 4 courses and also internship, which eventually ended up. All of my sort of hard work paid off. So the internship eventually ended up converting into a full-time job. And even when the conversion happened, I was offered a mid-level role than a junior level role because of my performance during the internship, because of maybe they like me or they like my working style. Successes during my graduate studies were a lot too, along with challenges. Some of the successes were, excitement of being in a new country, studying with so many people from all around the world. Some of other successes where I was a board member of our UT Dallas Leadership Council. Through that, I got to network a lot, talk to different recruiters, or try and get those recruiters into the college to sort of, give motivational speeches to our students. And, you get to network a lot. And then eventually, how you network helps you, get your foot in the door or something like that. Then other successes were managing my expenses. So I was able to manage my expenses through my on-campus job. I was very fortunate enough to get an on-campus job from the very first semester that I started studying in the US. There were certain times where, I was doing multiple campus jobs just to manage my expenses, just to, being able to pay my living expenses and food expenses and whatnot. So definitely challenging there, but then again, ultimately, I'm really happy that, I went through all those challenges and I learned from those challenges, how do you handle those situations, or how do you sort of believe in yourself and, do a better job. And of course, the biggest success was getting or earning the master's degree, which was a really good life milestone. Then talking about my work experience. So as I mentioned earlier, I had 2+ years of experience in the marketing or digital space. I initially started with a nonprofit. Basically, my internship was for a nonprofit organization. I worked there for almost 2 years, but eventually, eventually there were a lot of issues. All right. You have to, you are constantly worrying about your, work visa. You had student visa. Initially, when you had student visa, you were worried about getting a job. Now, when you got a job, now you're worried about how to convert that student visa into a work visa. Fortunately, I was lucky enough that my company was willing to sponsor my work visa. And another success was, my visa got picked in the first try. Thanks to God. And then some of the challenges were there was a change in management in our company, and then due to that change in management, the new management was what you can call something like showed some partiality or racism and whatnot. But eventually, my focus was on learning. I wanted to learn everything as much as I can and sort of use those skills to ultimately shift jobs or get a better role or a better salary, which I did eventually. So I worked there for 2 years and then used those skill set for getting a better job and better pay here at Universal. I'm really glad it all worked out really good. Well. All right, moving on. All right, So the next section of my slides are copied, but these are some of the steps and processes that I follow. I do not follow all of them. I am not that fortunate enough to master myself or myself to follow all of these steps. But again, these are something that I believe firmly in. Talking about how to be successful in life, success, first see your goal, understand what your obstacles could be, then create a positive mental picture inside your head, like, once you achieve that goal, how would it feel like, or how would you feel? And then start digging into your goal, like, clear your mind that you're not going to be able to achieve it. I think in one of the previous sessions that were held, I think one of them commented, like, it's all in your mind. It definitely is all in your mind. Like sometimes some people are able to do certain things very easily, versus the same thing sometimes people are not able to do easily at all. It's all about how you approach at it, how you look at it, and then like how you want to be successful. And then embrace the challenge, stay on track, and then finally show the world that you can do it. Then we're going to talk about like some of the steps of how you can measure your success, and how you can, like, you always have to break your success into milestones, into goals. And in each of those milestones, whether small or big, each time you complete a milestone, you have to celebrate that milestone. You have to celebrate in a way that it makes you feel good. Now, 8 ways to discover your passion in life. Could be slow down, change your story. Everybody has their own story. One of the things I like over here is, push past your fear. We're talking about passion. What is passion? Passion is, energy. It is the power that, comes from inside you to do what you do. Like, you're doing something that you do excites you. What is that? That is your passion. One of the advices I would give to you would be selfish towards your passion. Do not let your passion get disturbed in any way, because it's your passion. It's your story. It's your success story. And then eventually, one of the good things that I read somewhere was, develop a passion for learning. In today's world, everything is transforming. What world used to be is not going to be what it's going to be. So having a learning mindset helps you a lot. Like, you got to approach every situation in the way that, now let's say I have come across a challenge, what to do. First of all, I'm going to think about, how can I overcome this challenge, or what are the obstacles to overcome these challenges. Each of those obstacles could be some of my milestones that I, measure, and appropriately, in each of your stages, you have to dedicate your time. You have to mold yourself. You have to get over your fears, and ultimately, you have to set yourself to achieve what you want to achieve. Then, second thing could be, make a list of your goals and achieve them. Goals could be anything. Like, goal could be, I want to start a company. Could be a goal. Goal could be, I want to be successful in life. I want to reach a stage where I don't have to worry about money at all, or anything, everything and anything could be goals. Reachable goals generally are simple or significant or strategic. Like, you want to achieve your goal, but like, in order to achieve your goal, you want to set some strategy. You wanna tell yourself, how are you going to achieve that goal? How are you going to measure your success? How are you going to be like, is your goal that you set is tangible? Let's say I can have a goal saying that I want to be Bill Gates, but is it tangible? Is it achievable? It can and it cannot be. But again, like, it's up to each and every individual. You have each and everybody has their own sort of goals that they want to achieve. Third thing, very important, live purposefully. Live purposefully is nothing but having a clear intention or aim. Don't be negligent or careless towards your dream. A lot of times I have faced, like myself, I have a timeline, or I have something to finish within a timeline. my laziness, my procrastination sort of stops me or hinders me to complete that. And a lot of times, like, my mind says, okay, let's do it tomorrow, or like, we'll do it tomorrow. We'll take care of it tomorrow. Let's do something else today. You have to control those thoughts. You have to, you don't have to be careless towards your dream. Then again, these are certain examples. You can take your time. Let's say you want to take some time before starting towards your goal. Yeah, take your time. Take some vacation. Chill out. Clear your mind and whatnot. Saying yes and saying thank you matters a lot. Everybody has their own confined space. Like, not everybody gets to come out of their small space and, explore themselves, or, not everybody gets to say yes. Like, let's say next step, in the next 5 minutes, if I ask you, would you want to do this presentation yourself? You're going to think like, would I be able to do it, or would I be able to not do it? But have like an open mindset. Like, let's say, think about it. Like, let's say if I ask you to do this presentation after me, like, think about it in the sense that, what is it going to take for you to deliver that presentation? What is it going to take for you to be successful delivering that presentation? You could say, okay, you do not have any content to show. You do not have any successful stories that you can think of right now. But then again, ultimately, it's how you want to frame the story. It matters. And then finally, respect everybody's time. Like, you do not necessarily know what's going on in everybody's head, what's going on in everybody's life. Somebody could be in a good mood, somebody could be in a bad mood, somebody could be angry, happy, sad. And each of these moods sort of define how they would react to something. One of the good things you could do in that case is, like, you can be always positive in your communication. You can always be like, kind and apologetic in case. That's not going to hurt anybody. Like, even if I'm angry and you sort of say thank you to me, I'm not going to shout at you. So these are certain small steps that sort of help you grow, as well as it gives some sort of inner happiness, a little bit sense of inner happiness as well. Then be educated. This is a really good quote. An educated person knows how to acquire desired skills by identifying and utilizing available resources. What that means is, in engineering, we call it something called jugaad. It's nothing but, like, you want to achieve something, you want to learn something. Now, not every time you would have the finances or the time to give that task, or like achieve that task. What can you do? Like, you can basically identify resources that you can use. So, for example, in my work, we are a team of 12 members that collectively do to complete one sort of work or one sort of project. Now, think about it in this way. It's not like each and every 12 person knows everything, right? Like, it's like I would know some amount of work, somebody else would know some other amount of work, and eventually all of that gets added up to a project. What the statement is trying to say is, like, you sort of collaborate, you find out all the resources, you work together simultaneously, and then eventually your product is, final, or you get to finish your project. Manage your finances. Very important. Some of the tips for managing your finances are, I did follow some of these, like, tracking your monthly spending, develop a budget you can spend for a month. You always have to have certain savings, pay your bills on time, review your credits and everything. Take advantage of free money, always. And then use proper financial institutions for any bank-related transactions. Managing your time. This is a very big topic, very important. I would not say successful people sort of fall in this mastering time or effective use of a study session. Even successful people have time problems. At least I have. There were a lot of, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of scenarios where I would procrastinate, or I have to write a big, huge email. I would rather, like, crisp it, or say less points and then send it out of procrastination, or out of laziness. But then try to, be in these two buckets. Try to prioritize your time. Try to effectively use your time. Set your, timetable. Like, in this day, today I'm gonna work for 2 hours. I'm gonna play for 2 hours and whatnot. And very important, reward yourself. Every time you achieve or you are able to do something successfully, always feel happy about it. Feel good about it. And then finally, achieve internal success. Enjoy what you are today. Enjoy every moment of what you are today. Don't compare your life to other people's life. Everybody's story is different. I'm Archit. Somebody's Priyanka. Somebody's Lisha. Everybody's story is different. So don't compare your story to anybody else. Count your blessings. Look after your health. And then these are some of the ways of my celebration, like my successes that I celebrate. So this was basically the testimonial that was on the UT Dallas website. This is where I used to work, student job. I used to work at Papa John's Pizza. I used to make pizzas for everybody. This is a picture of my graduation. This is one of the conferences that I attended. And then this is finally where I work right now. This is actually Disney. I work for Universal, but I got a chance to get inside Disney. And then finally, I would end with this note. Constantly ask yourself, if what you are doing today is going to get you closer to where you want to be tomorrow. One of my favorite saying is, what got you here may not necessarily get you where you want to be. The meaning of this is you have to constantly transform, evolve yourself, your skills, and then that's how you ultimately reach to where you want to be tomorrow. I hope you liked it. Thank you. That's all. Oh, really quick, I want to share my graduation video. So, this is me. I started doing Bhangra. Celebrate your success every time. All right, I'm done.
Very nice listening to you, Archit. It was a pleasure listening to all the three of you all. Especially, I think, a very challenges. You can say a challenging academic side of your life for you and Priyanka. I would say, from what we heard. I have some questions for y'all. And I would really say that y'all have presented, all the three of y'all have presented very well. Some questions to Priyanka and Lisha, because we were not able to hear y'all completely. So let me ask y'all some questions. I would like to ask Lisha. Lisha, your work, where's Lisha? I can't see.
Yes, ma'am.
Can we see?
I'm just keeping it off so that I don't disconnect again. So I really apologize for that.
Maybe you can try once if that doesn't.
Okay. Sure.
So,
do you hear me now?
Yeah. So, Lisha, what is your advice on finding advice for the business? Just a few words. Okay. Meanwhile, we go to Priyanka. Priyanka, what was your what do you do to be ahead of the curve?
Yeah, that's the great question, Ila auntie. So yes, so being in technology, so to learn something, we have to learn something every time. So I usually, check on LinkedIn what different I'm following different companies, different CEO on LinkedIn. So I usually, check their post, like what is happening in the current different companies, technology companies. I also do so many courses in my free time to learn something new. So one thing is related to project that I'm working on. So as I said in my presentation that was completely new for me, right? So I learned that by myself, like, online material. Then I took some of the courses for that. So to be to be competitive in the technology market, so you have to learn every time. So there are so many courses on LinkedIn, then on plural site, so you have to learn with that, like. And also you have to talk to different people, so like what are your ideas, what they are thinking, what technology they are thinking to make that project or something successful, right? So if you discuss with somebody, then it will be helpful to you that where I'm missing it, what technology that I don't know and people are talking about. So these things like the discussion, taking courses and different online materials, reading different online materials are very important to stay ahead of curve.
And what is the clue for getting job in a big company for you? What is that main clue?
Yeah, so see, for visa, right? I actually find out the job opportunity on LinkedIn. Okay, so I applied for that job. I got a call, and I actually initially I didn't want to go to visa. That was not my intention, right? But I got a job on LinkedIn. I applied it, and there were like I think 4 or 5 rounds, technical rounds. So just before that, actually, I interviewed for Microsoft last until last round, and Microsoft, like one of the HRs, directly reached out to me. And asked me for the interview. So I actually, so like you are giving so many different interviews, so it will help you for the next interview, right? So I prepared myself for the Microsoft interview. I flew to Seattle, and like I did so I learned so many different technologies for the interview. I did so many coding techniques and so many things. And then one thing that I would like to talk about is whenever you're giving presentation or whenever you're going for the interview, right? I always talk in front of mirror, that how I'm doing it, right? So that is very important thing, you know so that thing I learned. And because of my earlier interviews, that really helped me to get job into visa, because the questions were like similar, and I knew that what mistakes I did in my previous interview, so that I learned that. And I have also habit of writing all the questions which I'm not able to answer in my previous interviews, and I just research on that online, Google it, and then I try to practice in front of the mirror, so that I am better for the next time. So in that way, that interviews was helpful to get me job into visa. Yeah.
Lisha, thank you, Priyanka. Lisha, I have a question on
Mhm.
LinkedIn for you. Uh,
Okay.
you have been guiding a lot of students for resume and LinkedIn and all that.
Yeah.
What is your take? Could you just give some few advices, suggestions for the students or for anybody for that matter?
Yeah. I have to really say, LinkedIn is one of those platforms that we have to start getting involved with right after college, right after school, because we always have something to put on that. And it's very important that we have an online visibility. Um, we spend a good amount of time in all other social media platforms, and this is important for your professional um, um, uh, whatever a job, or when you're just learning or you're just trying to connect with people. So one thing I understood was, so how the algorithm of LinkedIn works is, the more you interact on the platform, the more people are going to see you, and your activity. So it's important that you like some posts, you comment, you make a meaningful comment on a post, you you just share something which is related to your field. Now, this doesn't mean that it helps you to get a job, but it helps you to learn one thing, and people see you as a competent person. I mean, we all are competent with what we work because we have studied so much. We have come to the US, we are anywhere in the world, but people have to see it. And it's important that we take interest in that. And with helping out some of my friends, I started out as helping out some of my friends with resumes and interviews. I think it was because I personally struggled a lot when I had to find a job in my industry. It was a very slow period. And with all those visa issues and that are constantly there. So I had to make sure that I am doing enough and I am researching on what's lacking in my resume or in the way I give interviews. So I researched about it, and I started talking to people who were, in the similar phase that I was in. And so I started giving them, I just started sharing my notes, the notes that I made for my interviews. And it really helped a few of them to land an internship or a co-op. And that sort of gave me a confidence, that I can still do it. I don't have to give up so easily. And that personally, helping them, that personally gave me some sense of purpose. So and with respect to LinkedIn, I think there are very small things, that you have to remember, starting from a profile picture to your bio to what you are writing, how sensible it is, what kind of skills you are putting in there. People want to see that. People don't want to see how much, for in US, I don't think people want to see how much you are scoring, what is your GPA. They want to see how strong your basics are. For example, my manager, when the company I work right now, she asked me, she said to me, I don't care how much you remember on the top of your mind, but when I say some word to you, I want you to be able to go and search for it and ask questions wherever necessary. So that is how it works here. And I see it more common and a very common practice that is happening everywhere. So it's very important that we have our basics strong. We don't have to, buy hard stuff, have it on the top of our mind, but our concepts have to be really clear. And that has to reflect on our personality and the way we speak, and on LinkedIn, for example. Yeah. So Ajit, I had a question for you. You were talking about managing money. I think that is important for everyone, because the moment we come here, we start converting into Indian rupees. And it becomes difficult because we don't put money in our regular needs, but we spend money on maybe a Starbucks coffee. So what do you tell people about that? You're muted.
All right. I think initially that conversion thing that we do is really important. It helps us keep in check. I personally got sometimes goosebumps, like, thinking about, oh, I'm spending $10 on biryani. $10 is what? Whoa, 750 rupees on just a biryani. And like, I would sometimes, it would help me sometimes, not buy food from outside, just spend some time at home and cook something, even though it's not biryani, but still it's food, and it's sort of helping you not spend finances. But apart from that, I think initially when you are a student, you don't necessarily get to earn money. So anything that you earn is sort of going towards your tuition expenses or loans, or trying to help you sustain your living expenses. But ultimately, eventually, when you end up getting internship or end up getting jobs. So for example, in my case, my internship hourly pay was just $10. because I used to work for a non-profit. In fact, my student job at my university was paying me more an hour, $12 an hour, versus I chose to do the internship, which was $10 an hour. Even though I had to manage or cut down my expenses, but still, you would rather choose a internship over a student job, right? Like, because there is a high possibility that internship gets converted to a full-time job, and on top of that, you get to learn or sharpen so many skills. I think like once gradually people start earning and getting money, they eventually the conversion scale stops, because now you are earning money rather than spending money. Now the conversion scale talks one-to-one, apples to apples, which is you earn dollars and then you spend dollars. You no longer convert your money. But ultimately, still, like, it depends on, like, what are your choices and preferences. So, for example, if you are a coffee addict or coffee connoisseur, you would spend money on coffee. Like, you would think, I'm earning money. Why can't I spend something on something I like? So ultimately, it's that, I think, having to set that monthly spending bar, or, I'm going to decide predeterminedly, like, I'm going to spend $100 a month on my personal expenses, and then all the others follow, like rent and groceries and then whatnot. I actually had a question for Priyanka as well. Priyanka, you were a software engineer in India, and then you became a senior software engineer at Visa. Talk about your experience, like, how was your work experience in India different from US, or was it different, or how was it? Like, you used to work more in India, or you are working more here now in US?
Yeah, that's a great question. So working in India, the work environment is totally different than working in United States. Okay. So in India, I used to have, like, I have to log in exactly at 9 a.m. So if I late for 1 minute, right? So they will mark as a late attendance. So and it was allowed for the only for the 3 times. So that is not the case in US. So if I compare both, um, here we get lots of flexibility. So like I said in my presentation, that I work with different timelines, and so I have meetings, morning meetings, evening meetings. So I have a team in Bangalore. So these things, like in US, you actually get the very flexibility here. So work environment is totally different here. The one other important factor, working in United States, is in India, actually, if you are if your manager, like, if you speak or if you give your ideas to your manager, they might agree and they will not listen. They might agree, they might not agree, right? And they will feel, no, like, I am a superior, why she is telling me something like that, right? But that's not the case here. Here, if you see, like the 50 years, like 50 plus year aged people are also doing the coding, right? So they will listen to you. So I feel like huge difference. Like, I worked in India for the 3 years, and then I'm working here for 3 years almost. So it's a very huge difference, as with respect to work environment, with respect to people. Yeah.
Got it.
Does that
Nice.
answer your question?
Yep.
There are some questions on YouTube. Many colleges in the USA have affiliations with Indian colleges. What is your advice for students on this?
I think it is
I can
very
start.
important to. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. It's very important to do your research these days when it comes to affiliations, and we kind of hear a lot of scams that keep on happening. I hope those are not the cases all the time, but if there is a very reputed university that is affiliated to your college in India, I think it is a very good option to at least start there, and then maybe move to the country to do the rest of your semester, so that it gives you a very good combination of experience and education. But it's important to do the research.
Yeah, I agree to you. That research is important.
Yes.
Just as you have fraudulent universities in India, you have fraudulent universities
Everywhere.
all over the world.
Yes.
So that research is extremely important. His question is that current COVID period, there are students who wish to proceed further to USA. What is your advice for them? If you're
Be
able to.
cautious.
That's the great
um,
question. Yeah.
but you can answer, Priyanka.
Yeah, so same here, like do your research. And now, if you see very recently, right? So, F1 students now, like universities are going completely online. So, that will definitely affect F1 students, those who are planning to come. But there is always an option, right? Like you can do online courses in US university staying in India, right? And 1 year you can surely do that and then come here and do rest of your education after here, and then you can search for the job, right? That is always an option. In that, there is only one issue, that you cannot do internship, because for the internship you have to be in US for at least 1 year, right? So if you do online courses from India, then you will lose that opportunity. But I think that's okay, right? Because in the middle of the crisis, right? So at least if you get a good education online, you can surely do that from India, and then you can come back here and complete your studies here. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. This is what we have been also suggesting to students, that it's always better to go slow. Uh, it's better to give yourself time. There are innumerable online courses that are being offered by the most prestigious universities also. So it's always best to stay on, complete your 1 year online courses, and then plan to go in the next academic year.
Yeah.
Uh, Priyanka, there was your last slide which we missed because of internet connectivity. Is
Mm-hmm.
it possible to show that?
Yeah, sure. Let me share my screen. Um, Let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, this one. Okay.
Yeah,
Can
so
you show the
this
previous? Can you show the previous
previous slide.
one once? Once. Was it this one? Yeah, I think this
Mhm.
you. Yeah, no, but we missed out on your vision. Can you please talk about your vision also?
Yeah, sure. So my vision is, if you ask me professionally, I want to be in technology. I don't want to go into management, right? So I want to be a solution architect or software architect and leading the team of software engineer. And if you ask me personally, right? So, like a community like KVO community has given me so much, and it's like you guys have played like major role in what I am today, right? Because if I didn't get any loan from KVO, I wouldn't be here. So I want to give back to society, but I just don't want to donate. So I want to help at least one student financially for his or her entire education, and guide him and mentoring him throughout his career to become a successful. So that's my vision for the future.
That's
um,
very nice to hear.
yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. And yeah, so last slide, I wanted to end my presentation by saying this quote that I read from the book Becoming, from by Michelle Obama, that success isn't about how your life looks to others. It's about how it feels to you. We realize that being successful isn't about impressive, it's about being inspired. That's what it means to be true to yourself. So today, by uh, seeing my story and listening to my story, if at least one student or one parent is inspired, then I would be so grateful and proud. Yeah, thank you so much. And this is my contact. You can contact me anytime on LinkedIn, Facebook, emails. Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you.
And thank you so much. I think your story, you'll have to stop share.
Yep.
Your story was truly inspiring to everyone, of course. I would also like to request Lisha, if you could share your last slide. We
Yeah.
have missed on yours also because of connectivity. It was
Yeah.
unfortunate that we missed the last slide for both of you.
I actually wanted to talk about the unusual experiences and things that I had learned being here for 3 years in the USA. So first one is, it is not as bad as it looks. There have been situations where we get so anxious, we freak out, and we just stop thinking. There are very small things. For me, the first thing was I got a double electricity bill, and I was just so scared that I have to pay $500 for that, and I couldn't think because it was first time. It was just a month in the US, and I had to pay so much money. So that was a very small experience that I had. But then, talking to someone, just clearing up your mind, and just thinking it's not as bad it looks. There is always a way out of those situations. I think that was something I knew, but I learned it here. The other thing is, be open to saying no. You don't do you don't do stuff, you don't go places just because because your friends are doing it. You prioritize for yourself. If you are interested, if that does not affect your other priorities, you do it. We think we will miss out, we might lose friends if we don't do we don't go here. We may not, because we don't want to be alone here. But I think it's okay to say no whenever and wherever possible. The other thing is getting your money mindset right. You have to prioritize on if you want to spend it for yourself or not. I think we have to start thinking as our mothers, how they manage our finances at home. I think that's a very important thing. Living here, we have to inculcate for ourselves. The other thing is buy a good insurance. I really, from my personal experience, never buy insurance from India when you have to live here. Buy something that's good here. That was another very unusual experience I had. The other thing is ask questions. Don't interpret, when you don't have an idea. Don't be shy to ask questions. You will save a lot of time and money, just by asking someone who has been here for a longer time than you are. The other thing is eat right and exercise. I have seen a change in my mood when I have not been, just eating those packet foods here, because that's the most common thing we see here. We have to study all day. We have on campus, we have assignments, we have exams, and we just eat some frozen food. It really makes your brain fatigue. It causes brain fatigue, and you don't think right. You react instead of responding to situations. So I think that was one of the major learning that I had. And the other thing is develop a hobby. Everyone spoke here about how important a hobby is. You want to go back to it at the end of the day, at the end of a hard day, or on Friday evenings when you are done with working 5 days. It Here it's more about not about how much you're going to earn or how much you're going to learn. It's more about how your brain is working right at that moment, because you have to make your own decisions, and you have to be through it the whole time. So I think these things, this is very important, having a hobby. And I think that was my last slide.
Yeah. I just have a few questions. If you can stop sharing the screen.
Sure.
I'm glad we were able to see your last slides, both of you, and of course get the full presentation from Archit without any interruptions. There is a question for whomever you wish to answer. Of course, there is a comment first from Mahendra Bhai Cheda, who's a trustee. Inspiring, informative presentation by all of you. Will you all please explain and throw some more light on LinkedIn profile and postings, how they help to upgrade jobs in India?
Yeah, I think, okay, Lisha, you go ahead.
No, I spoke about it. You can.
Yeah. So in India, I think I usually see that people usually don't use LinkedIn that much. There are like different websites, right? Like Naukri.com, Monster.com. They usually use that. But LinkedIn is really a good platform to connect professionally with different people all around the world, and to see what is happening in this world, right? So I think the LinkedIn is really important. And if you want to improve your profile, right, like Lisa already mentioned about it, that you don't need to put Facebook profile photo on the LinkedIn, right? It has to be professional. In LinkedIn, you are not supposed to post anything, like whatever the information that you think that is right and that will be helpful to others who are going to read that post, right? So you have to do that. And then I think LinkedIn for job search, it's really important. Like in USA, right? So I am taking the interview. So before I take interview, I usually go to that LinkedIn page of that person and see how it is, like what that guy or girl has done it. Because in resume you can't talk about everything, right? You have just 2 pages and you just need to write in that. But in LinkedIn you can mention about your achievements, your project in details, about your work experience, everything in LinkedIn. So I think that is the great platform to showcase your skill sets, and that is really important. If you are in India or anywhere in the world, I think that is the good platform to show your skills. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Archit, would you like to say a few last words?
Yeah, I would like to add something on the LinkedIn piece.
I'm sorry, I had a lot of
So,
questions for the other two because their connectivity had got disrupted. So I wanted
yeah.
to know a lot of things from what they had prepared. So yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead.
Yeah. So again, like I'm gonna talk in marketing language. I'm a marketing professional, so it's LinkedIn is basically like you're trying to market yourself. You're trying to tell who you are, not like from a personal perspective, but from a professional perspective. Um, le- Whether India or US, let's say you want a job. So let's say you are already doing a job or you want a job. Let's say you are doing a IT job. Your profile should speak to that. So basically, let's say if I'm doing a IT job, I cannot write down in my profile anything related to like what Lisha is doing or what somebody else is doing or something which is not necessarily relevant to my skill. So your skills and your accomplishments should highlight that. Second advice I would give is like connect to your friends. Like let's say you have certain skills in your LinkedIn profile. You have written down like I know Microsoft Excel, I know Microsoft Word, or I know a lot of things. Try and get your friends to upskill those skills. Like say for example, you can endorse somebody on LinkedIn for a specific skill. Go reach out to as many people as you can and just tell them like can you write me a recommendation letter, or like let's say if you're looking for a higher or a better job, ask your current manager, can you please write down a recommendation letter to me on LinkedIn, which will show in your profile. And next time, whenever a recruiter or somebody who wants to hire somebody looks at your profile, they know exactly what you do from your previous manager. So like that influences a lot. Like that tells a good story about you. And then the second point that Priyanka mentioned, like, if there is a recruiter or if there is a company that you are applying for, always go and check their profile. Always look at their profile, what they've done, what their journey was. And based on that, on their profile, modify your interview answers. So let's say somebody worked for 2 years in Chennai and somebody then shifted to, let's say, Mumbai. In your interview answers, try to fit in some of the components of that. Like, interview is not just about work. Through the interview, they're also trying to see, like, how good of an employee you are, like how good of a collaborator you are. Are you good when communicating with others or not? So all of these skills, all of these soft skills get highlighted during your interview. So, yep, that would be my tips.
Yeah, they were very good tips that you all have given. If you have any last word to say from the US uh, to everybody who is viewing it in India as well as in the US, you want to say something, you can say it.
Yeah, I'll start. I would highlight the same thing again, like develop a passion for learning, constantly adapt and transform yourself. be up to the speed to the society and what is happening around. Don't fall back.
I would really say that you cannot be just interested in what you are doing. You have to be committed to your education here or making your life here. You cannot just be interested, because if you're doing that, I think we fall back on some of our efforts. So commitment is more important than anything here.
Yes, Priyanka.
Yes. So I have seen in India and other Asian countries that it is like always a sequential pattern, like you do high school, complete high school, go to college, complete that study, and marry, and just marriage. So I really want to break that chain. It's not like there is for learning anything to achieve your goals, age is not important, right? So if you are married or if you are working in in India, and you think that you want to achieve something and you want to pursue masters in United States or any other country, so don't think about that, okay, I am old, I cannot do that, right? So that is also important. So don't think about age or I am old to learn something new. So if you have goals in your mind and you want to achieve it, and if you believe in yourself, you can do anytime. So that is the last advice to everyone on the call.
Thank you very much. I would say on behalf of KVO Stanakwasi Majan, Sanchalit Matushri Manibai Shivji Devji, KVO Kanyakaroni Fund, we would really like to thank all the three panelists for the valuable sharing that they have done, the challenges that they've shared, the success stories, the reasons for success, the tips why they're champions. I think they will these lessons will go a long way for many students and parents. And at this junction, I would also like to thank the entire participants who are listening to the program live and who would be listening to it later on also, viewing it later. And I would really like to thank on my own behalf the entire committee which strives to bring all these, create these platforms for all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
for
much.
giving the opportunity.
Thank you.
Have a good day, all.
Thank you.
Good night, actually.
Yeah, good night.
Bye bye.